So we both attended this FFD4 event.
Yes.
And ECA and the other regional commission has organized several events, notably on sustainable finance, blended finance.
Yes.
And on sustainable finance, we insist on climate finance. For you, is it an important subject?
Absolutely. This is highly important. I came with the expectation at the FFD4 that we would look specifically at the issues of climate. Climate is making the progress on the Sustainable Development Goals slower. Without addressing the climate crisis, without addressing climate issues, without investing in climate adaptation and resilience building, progress on all the sectors in the economy will only be stalled. And so I was glad to see that the outcome document of the FFD4 has really recognized this. The Paris Agreement and the goals around it in terms of accelerating climate adaptation is not being met. There has been commitment of $100 billion towards addressing this specifically, but how many years down the line, we're now talking about a new climate quantified goal. And this has moved from 100 billion to 300 billion. So we would like to see more progress in this. So I'm glad that the ECA and all stakeholders in the FFD4 have really come towards addressing this, and I have addressed it specifically in the outcome document that this has been adopted. So I'm glad to see that.
Thank you very much. So a very important progress that has been also acknowledged in the FFD4 document, outcome document, is the establishment of the African Credit Rating Agency. According to you, how is it important to have an African credit rating agency?
Absolutely. When we look at the current status of our countries, I mean, globally, we know that financing is shrinking. But for African countries and developing countries, we see that this is even worse because a lot of countries are already in debt. And so, looking at how to ameliorate their debt situations was very important. Having an Africa Credit Rating Agency will only ensure that multilateral development banks, lending institutions will be able to lend within the local context of understanding, will be rated based on those. And more specifically, I've seen as well that there has been agreement that there should be more concessional funding options made available to African governments. Because when I go back to the issue of climate as well, there is a fiscal trade-off. How do we invest in climate when we're in debt? How do we invest in ensuring that we make progress on the national plans that countries have set up when they are in debt? And so the concessional borrowing issues that have been adopted in the document are very much welcome. This will only help African governments.
Oh, that's very excellent. And they also bring to your attention that ECA is supporting the development of a battery and electric vehicle value chain on the continent.
Right.
So as you know, e-mobility is important as it also help mitigate or address climate change, but at the same time foster industrialization, resource-based industrialization, whereas Africans will be able to transform their natural wealth on their soil and create quality jobs for their people in order to attain different SDGs.
Yeah.
So, any opinion on that?
Yes, I mean, when you talk about the natural wealth, I think when I've attended a few of the sessions here, we have seen a common thread where we're saying Africa's wealth also needs to be valued. And we have seen that several countries are making progress towards not exporting raw materials because we're seeing that the return that we get on the investment for exporting just the raw materials without value being added onto it is not sufficient. And so I'm really glad that this is already something that the ECA is working towards. And if we can work towards this, probably maybe not a GDP, but a GWP, where the wealth is valued, I think this is what African countries need because otherwise we will lose out on the global market in terms of our raw materials.
Yes, at ECA also we support countries developing their financial markets and foster domestic resource mobilization. Do you think that having an African credit rating agency will also bring that awareness to really mobilize resources? Because what we have found across the continent is that there are resources that are there but are not put to use in useful or fruitful use.
Yeah.
In the case of the DRC and even Botswana,
Yeah.
so there is excess liquidity in the banking system, but there is a lack of engineering to really harness those resources to finance development.
Having the knowledge of the local context is essentially helpful for rating our agencies because when we look, I won't give the specific example, but we have seen cases where some of the African multilateral banks have received low credit rating, impacting their ability to lend. And so within this, having these natural resources and having this local context with an Africa rating agency, I think this would only help to be able to really value these multilateral banks.